If we were to get a reliable warning that the world will finally come to its end tomorrow at midday, how would we spend the hours remaining to us? Would we be decorating our homes and trees, or making holiday cookies, or sauntering through the commons to shop, or be found at our computer continuing to search for some Black Friday deal that's still available? Not likely, for all of that would be seen as rather empty and useless as far as our eternal salvation is concerned, and hardly part of the criteria by which we might be judged worthy of the kingdom that Christ promises when he comes. Instead, we would probably be on our knees in prayer, maybe on the phone, calling any from whom we have been alienated in order to reconcile, or reaching out to any we might have hurt or offended to apologize, or making restitution for anything we might have done maliciously or have taken unjustly. If we could, we might try to track down a priest to go to confession and receive absolution. And if not, we would likely be saying repeated acts of contrition. So even though we have no word that the world is ending today, tomorrow, or the next day, we'd be wise to ask ourselves why we might not be doing some of these things already, each and every day. For we have been told the world is ending, and not by some broadcaster or podcaster whose credentials at truth might rightly be questioned, but rather by the one who is truth itself, and thus can only speak truth, Jesus Christ. Clearly, he gives this warning in today's gospel, not to frighten us, but rather to warn us that when the end comes, as it inevitably will, we won't have 24 hours to prepare ourselves, as it will come with a suddenness which will take everyone without any exception by surprise. Indeed, immediately before this particular passage that we have proclaimed this morning as the gospel is that stark and unsettling truth told by Jesus quite succinctly when he says, in regard to the end of time, no one knows the day or the hour. And then he goes on to describe for us the sorting out that that final judgment will involve between the righteous who are found prepared and thus taken up to the kingdom, while the unrighteous who are not prepared are left behind, but not simply left behind to perish. So there is great wisdom to be found in old adages that advise us to greet each new day with gratitude as a gift from God, a day to be lived as if it were our last, so that some part of every day then would find us praying, and every Sunday we would be found joined together in worship. And when necessary, we would be found in the line to the confessional. But each day, at least, we would be examining our consciences to identify and express our sorrow for any sin or offense that we have committed, and look for ways to express our faith by sharing it with others, and to exercise our Christian charity in good works done, especially for others in need. So let us be clear. In its first 3 weeks, Advent is not about Christmas at all. It is primarily focused on preparing for the celebration of that first coming of Christ in some sense, but primarily focused on the second coming of Christ as that important annual reminder that this will indeed be the final act of salvation history, the one that we are still waiting for, and should be consciously preparing by that ongoing change of mind and heart and way of living that we call ongoing conversion. So let us be wise and place the truth of the unknown yet inevitable day of Christ's return before us each and every day in order to help determine our priorities, which should first and foremost always be to prepare ourselves not for a holiday, but for that fateful day of all days when we must meet Jesus Christ face to face as our judge. Then we might better understand how the secularized culture expects us to use this time before December 25th. For everything it suggests is really just distraction. And if it diverts us away from what should truly be our focus, then it is a diversion that is not benign. Let these weeks of Advent be lived as by long tradition they were meant to be lived, which is soberly, quietly, prayerfully, void even of Christmas carols played before Christmas begins, rather actually trying to wait in darkness for the coming of the light, which is Advent's main theme. Thus, let us progressively light the candles of a simple Advent wreath as our only decoration. Let us revisit the real meaning and purpose of Advent, which is to remind us to be always prepared to meet Christ. And so might this season then find us praying and confessing and doing good works more than decorating, shopping, and indeed enjoying feasts before this Christmas time actually arrives.